From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
The wheat harvest gets ready to roll in Nebraska, but is there anything to harvest?
We didn't have any snow, and so we started next to nothing.
How farmers there are trying to battle back from drought as USDA releases new market-moving numbers from grain stocks.
We're in a tight enough situation.
To the much-anticipated acreage report.
We were looking for something probably 1 million acres higher than what we got.
What's been counted so far?
I figured we would have had a little bit more or a little less acres because of how wet it was and as guys went to plant other crops.
And whether corn or soybeans will be king this year, right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Switch in acres, according to USDA. It now says farmers planted more corn than soybeans this season. That after getting back survey results from farmers. Now here are the latest acreage report numbers. The agency pegging corn at 89.9 million acres. That's down 4% from last year and down from the 89.49 it predicted farmers would plant back in March. But closer to trade expectations. Now for soybeans, it estimates 88.3 million acres. That's up 1% from last year, but down from the 90.95 it called for in March and well below the trade guesses.
Market was signaling with that 2.0 soy corn ratio that you should keep on planting corn, and we did. We are going to see some more prevent plant acres, somewhere between 1 and 2 million probably from these numbers versus what we thought before. But we did see some extra ground to go into corn production.
We've still got, acreage, fairly close to 180, but at the same time, I kind of thought that we would be above 80 combined with corn and beans, just simply due to the fact that prices were so high. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised.
Cotton seeing an increase in acreage, estimated to be at 12.5 million acres, up 11% from last year. Now USDA also saying it will resurvey Minnesota, North and South Dakota later this month. That's after planting was delayed due to excessive rain. And what did USDA's survey show in the wheat category? It put the all wheat acreage number at 47.1 million acres, which is down nearly 250,000 acres from March. A chunk of that came from winter wheat, but spring wheat was down only about 90,000 acres or 11.1 million. Now that came as a bit of a surprise to market analysts in the Northern Plains.
I figured we would have had a little bit more or a little less acres because of how wet it was and as guys went to plant other crops. But it does again appear that the price was enough to be able to encourage some of them in the northern regions of North Dakota and Minnesota to continue to try to plant wheat.
Martin says it also looks like corn prices were high enough to keep some farmers planting more corn and less beans in the Dakotas and Minnesota despite the wet conditions this spring. Not much of a surprise for the markets when it came to the grain stocks. USDA reporting corn at 4.35 billion bushels. That's up 6% from last year. Soybeans in at 971 million bushels. That's up 26% from the same time last year. While old crop all wheat totaling 660 million bushels, down 22%. Old crop durum wheat now at 21.2 million bushels, also down 22% from June of last year.
Corn acreage at 89.9. Obviously, a lot of folks felt like that was going to go up. That pretty much was the average trade guess. We came out with 89.7. We felt like corn acres would be up, just not substantially. No surprise there. You start plugging in corn and bean acreage numbers into your balance sheets, though, and you find out that whether it's corn or beans, we're in a tight enough situation. Mother Nature is really going to have to get along well with us through the months of July and August. So I'm afraid that it could be a pretty dicey situation for stocks.
AgDay's Michelle Rook will have more analysis on the numbers coming up. Now, as for full report and breakdown of these numbers, make sure to check out our reports on agweb.com. It looks to be a hot holiday weekend ahead, especially for the country's midsection. Meteorologist Matt Yurosavik joins us with an update. Matt.
Yeah, that's right, Clinton. And we have a hot and humid week for parts of the South, especially through that 4th of July holiday. But then we're also keeping it mostly dry over the weekend. More relief comes from this drought monitor as we head into next week. But if you notice, east of the Mississippi or even right along the Mississippi, starting to see more of those abnormally dry conditions, a lot of drought increasing, and it's still likely to increase even though we're expecting some rain next week. Still looking at some damp soil right along the Mississippi, but upper Midwest, parts of Texas, and even now along the East Coast and Mid-Atlantic, things are extremely dry. But here's a look at the next 10 days. Once we get through the middle part of next week, look at all that rain that is out there. There is a lot of chances to negate some of this drought, and we're hopefully going to get a little bit of help, especially through the Corn Belt as we head into next week, and that's something we'll continue to track right here on Ag Day. And Travis Leonard of Southwest Kansas shared this photo with us this morning. Travis saying that he told the dryland corn to hold strong and that help is on the way. But he says he's still waiting for rain and maybe not until next week, Travis. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
And money is going out to farmers impacted by wildfires, droughts, hurricane, and winter storms that hit in 2020 and 2021. USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack announcing that so far producers have already received more than $4 billion in payments through the Emergency Relief Program. That accounts for about 67% of the more than $6 billion set aside for Phase 1 of the program. Phase 2 will be aimed at filling gaps and providing help to producers who didn't receive payments through existing programs. Now, the money comes from taxpayers thanks to a bill President Biden signed into law last year. More help is on the way for the school lunch programs across the country. USDA announcing it will provide nearly $1 billion more in funding. The financial boost is provided through USDA's Commodity Credit Corporation. The funds will be distributed by state agencies to schools across the country so they can buy homegrown foods for their meal programs. This assistance builds on the $1 billion in supply chain assistance funds USDA previously allocated in December of 2021, which states can use this school year as well as next to provide schools with funding for commodity purchases. Another big ruling this week from the U.S. Supreme Court. This one has to do with the nation's main anti-air pollution law. The High Court limiting how the law can be used to cut carbon dioxide emissions from power plants. Now the decision, a 6-3 vote with conservatives in the majority. The court ruling the Clean Air Act does not give the EPA broad authority to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. Instead, it said the EPA is limited to plant-by-plant regulations. Court watchers say the ruling could complicate the Biden administration's plans to combat climate issues. The labor contract for 22,000 West Coast dock workers is set to expire, but leadership says they're not expecting a strike. Now, we updated you yesterday morning on the labor issues plaguing the transportation industry right now. The head of the U.S. busiest port says he is not expecting strikes at roughly 30 West Coast terminals. The labor contract is about to elapse for 22,000 dock workers. The Port of Los Angeles director, Gene Soroka, says, quote, anything is possible, but it will not happen. Now, the two sides are in negotiations for a new deal. Grain markets taking time to digest USDA's latest data dump. We'll take a look at the close coming up next. And later, wheat harvest is just getting started in Nebraska. How does the crop look as combines roll north?
Ag Day, sponsored by Total Acre. Randy Dowdy and David Hula's Next Level program is now Total Acre. We're still focused on farmers helping farmers while hitting record yields and ROI. Check us out at totalacre.com.
A widely used crop protection tool, atrazine, is getting its EPA registration revised. The National Corn Growers Association says the new labeling requirements will impose additional restrictions and mitigation measures on the herbicide, adding ultimately it will limit how much of the product farmers use. NCGA President Chris Edgington says they're disappointed, quote, we can feed and fuel the world and fight climate change, but we can't do these things without modern farming tools, and atrazine is a tool that is critical to our work. Now, the proposal will now enter a 60-day public comment period. Following USDA's big Thursday reports, corn and wheat trading mostly lower while soybeans bouncing around. Let's get more on the day's market moves from national reporter Michelle Rook.
Joining us with market analysis, Alan Brugler Marketing. Let's slice and dice the USDA reports. We did see soybean acres down 2.63 million from March. Was that a surprise to you, especially considering the lack of double crop acres?
Yeah, we were looking for something probably 1 million acres higher than what we got. I think part of that is just a distribution of acreage. The only Corn Belt state that went up was Illinois. But the big surprise to me was the double crop acres. We only had 4% double crop acres according to USDA. Last year we had 5%, and this year we've got higher prices than a year ago. We've also got 600 plus counties that USDA is authorized for crop insurance for double crop that we didn't have a year ago. But we had really major drops in double crop intentions for places like Georgia and North Carolina. I'm just wondering what those farmers are thinking that they're not planting beans.
So when you put in the lower acres into the balance sheet, what does the ending stocks number tighten to?
Makes the ending stocks look really tight. Even if you assume a 52 bushel yield, you can get those ending stocks down to 120 million bushels, and you've got to have some price rationing to keep the exports in line. Of course, we do wonder if South American producers will respond by increasing their acreage.
So why the bearish reaction? The November futures down 20 cents on the day.
I think it's mostly month end and quarter end liquidation by the funds, but we also had a rally the last 3 days. The market was a little oversold on the very short term indicators. Overbought, make that.
So corn went the opposite direction, up 430,000 acres, and so the price did attract those additional acres.
We did pull in some extra acres from March. The mud was an obstacle, but we still managed to get some more corn planted. You did have probably fewer acres than what we thought we would get for combined corn and soybean. That was only a little over 178 million versus 180 million in March.
So when you plug that number in, how much does that ease our balance sheet there in terms of ending stocks?
Really doesn't affect it a whole lot. I think if you take a 179 bushel national average yield, which of course is still to be determined, you'd have about a 1.7 billion carryout versus USDA's previous 1.4. So it does make it a little looser.
Okay, thanks for joining us with analysis. Alan Brugler with Brugler Marketing. Full analysis on agweb.com. More Ag Day coming up.
To talk to Alan about his ag market professional services, call Brugler Marketing and Management at 402-697-3623 or visit his website, www.bruglermarketing.com. Ag Day is brought to you by the End Zone by Farm Shop MFG, which allows you to rehydrate your soybeans from 10 to 13%. On a 20,000 bushel bin, that's an extra semi-load added to your bottom line. Order your End Zone fan control by July 31st and receive $200 off.
Meteorologist Matt Yurosavik joining us, looking at the drought monitor here from last week. And Matt, when we look at this, you can tell maybe some improvement out west, but boy, it's starting to get dry out east.
Yeah, we had a lot of kind of that monsoon rain, they call it, back there in the southwest. But yeah, that drought is really expanding in the east and could continue into next week. And you can really see the magnitude of that drought really expanding in the east. We've seen more abnormally dry conditions, but also some moderate and even severe drought down here in the extreme southeast. Northern parts of Florida also seeing some of this, and these are some areas that had some rain over the last couple of days, and we're going to be seeing more chances of rain, especially through the Corn Belt next week. But there has been a little bit of help back here in the southwest and also parts of Texas where we've seen some improvements, but now it looks like the drought just kind of spreading out a little bit more. So there is more chances of rain coming up next week, but as we head through today on Friday, not much going on. A few light showers across the northern plains as a cold front swipes on through the Great Lakes, and then some pop-up showers and storms down there in the south and east. Much of the west, though, is dry except for a few showers and maybe a couple of storms into Saturday, moving across parts of Colorado and out into the plains of Kansas. And then as those systems move eastward, high pressure in control of the east, but still looking at those pop-up showers and storms really east of the Mississippi and down into the southeast, parts of Florida as well. And a few showers continue to be possible back in the Four Corners region heading into Saturday. So here's a look at the precipitation, a little bit of tropical rain moving into the Gulf Coast. But then as we head through Monday and into next week, this map looks a whole lot different as we showed you a little bit earlier. More chances of rain here right through the Corn Belt and off into the south and east, which could help some of that drought. But then also more chances of rain right through the Rockies and Four Corners. Also, here's a look at the temperatures this afternoon. 90s and triple digits for parts of the center of the country, Texas up to the plains. And then keeping it very humid as we head into tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s, and then we're going to be watching for more warmth spreading northward as we head into this long holiday weekend, and something that's going to be very warm and humid across most of the country. And then more rain next week, and we'll keep you updated on that right here on Ag Day. That's a look around the country. Now let's take a look at the weather where you live. Lumberton, North Carolina, thunderstorms likely, a high near 88 degrees. McCook, Nebraska, mostly sunny with a chance of an evening storm, a high near 85. And Chico, California, sunny and hot, a high near 91 degrees.
Wheat harvest is working its way north. We'll check in on the Nebraska crop next, and later, a group of rocket scientists are trying to build a robotic pizza maker in California. Details in the country.
It's time to sign up for the 2022 United Pork Americas Conference in Orlando, Florida. Register today at unitedporkamericas.com and join us September 7th through the 9th.
Nationally, wheat was 41% harvested according to this week's USDA crop progress report, but in Nebraska, farmers are just getting started. AgDay's national reporter Michelle Rook joins us once again with an outlook for this year's crop.
Clinton, with the hot, dry weather, the winter wheat is turning quickly in Nebraska and harvest will soon be in full gear. However, those conditions have also had a negative impact on the outlook for this year's wheat production. Wheat farmers in western Nebraska are going on their third year of abnormally dry to drought conditions, including in the southwest.
It's been super dry at my home, which is just straight north of McCook. I've probably only got about 2, maybe 2.5 inches since the first of the year total.
Tracy Zink says they've faced a lot of adversity with the wheat crop due to hail and late frost, plus the moisture deficit they've been running since last fall when they planted the crop.
We didn't have any snow, and so we started next to nothing. We've missed all the good rains, and when we get a rain, it's 3-inch hailstones that are coming with it. So a lot of folks have replanted 2 and 3 times to our west.
USDA rated only 21% of Nebraska's wheat crop in good to excellent condition in the latest report, with 34% poor to very poor, and conditions have been deteriorating all spring.
It's really varying the wheat around here. Some of the fields are hurt pretty bad, and other fields are looking pretty decent. So it's pretty much how it was taken care of last summer, or if they are continuous wheat or ran a crop last summer and then drill wheat. That's pretty tough looking.
Surprisingly, Capel doesn't think his crop will be a disaster. In fact, his dryland wheat may not be that far off his 75 bushel per acre average or APH.
So on our farm, it's going to average about 60. Just looking around and stuff, I would guess the county average would be around 50.
However, the last 2 years, farmers in the area have seen higher yields, so the crop will be down. Zink's APH is right around 50, so she too is trying to remain positive.
If we could catch a small rain right now, we have a chance of seeing some yields, depending, of 60 to 70. Last year we had 80 to 90. It was just all about the rain and the timing.
However, time is running out as the combines will be rolling through the area any day. Both Zink and Capel run mostly dryland wheat, but say the irrigated fields look like they will have an average to above average yields.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Piping hot pizza pie is a summertime treat. Up next, we see how some rocket researchers are using robots to make them perfectly palatable while being delivered straight to your door.
Your next piece of equipment is on machinerypete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on machinerypete.com.
Some of you may be serving up pizza this 4th of July weekend, and someday that pizza might be made by a robot. A team of former rocket scientists and restaurateurs in California have created a fully automated pizza making robot on wheels. Now, it uses complex algorithms to track traffic, schedule its bake, make the pizzas en route to the customer, and pump out the piping hot pies right on time. From assembly to cooking to delivery, cameras track every movement. Now the goal, crank out the pizzas in less than 5 minutes. This ambitious and delicious concept took years of development, but the scientists at the Stellar Pizza think they've cracked the code. They deliver affordable, high-quality pizzas straight from the oven to your door. Now, they estimate that the cost per pizza would be about $10, and right now the group is doing a second fundraising effort to build a fleet of the traveling bots. They would go to places like stadiums and college campuses. Stellar plans to start rolling out the trucks to events later this summer around LA. And that's all of our time this morning. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day out in Farm Country.